Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Entrepreneur, and let's talk about the Uber presentation for the new app. Now, I know some people think I must have forgotten about it because I said I was making all these videos and you haven't seen any. Well, they're going to come Monday. I wanted to make sure I did them correctly, and some of them are a little bit more complicated than stuff that I usually do. Not great, mind you, but different enough to actually cause a delay. But you know, there was a point about this whole presentation that I had not realized. It hadn't really dawned on me. I was aware of it, but I kind of laughed it off like, yeah, of course they would do that. And that is the fact that during the live stream, Uber disabled the comments section. Now, at first, I didn't think too much of it, truthfully. I even joked about it in the podcast. Oh, look, yeah, Uber. Wonder why Uber would disable the comments, because nobody's happy. And then Drive Girl Drive pointed out on her own video that that was insulting. You know, you don't make a presentation for the drivers, say you're listening to the drivers, and then you don't even engage in a dialogue with them. Now, at this point, some people might say, well, but they had a Q&A, they had drivers in the audience, and as Harry Campbell has said in his blog post, these are confirmed drivers. And the drivers at the presentation were really happy, which, you know, to me makes sense. Of course they're happy. They were picked by Uber to come to this presentation. They were probably given free flight, free boarding. The CEO was talking to them afterwards. And he was serving them food, and it was it was like a party. Who wouldn't want to go to a party? Especially when you're down on your luck and maybe you're featured in the presentation. Hey, that's kind of cool. I mean, I know what it's like to have my name on like a, you know, website or a video that other people watch. It's like, oh, cool, they noticed me. It feels nice to be noticed. And that's going to lead into something. Because after I saw Drive Girl Drive's video where she really hammered, you know, hunkered down that this was not okay, that you can't disable the comments, Ride with Peterson made a video about feeling rejected. That essentially what Uber has done is they have rejected the drivers. And they say they're not important and that their voice will not be heard. All in a video that was advertised as being for the drivers, and we have listened to the drivers. We have worked with the drivers. And yet, people walked away from that presentation feeling like, oh, F you. Seriously, this is the best you can do. This is the best you can do to appease us. We don't feel welcome. We don't feel loved. We don't feel listened. And Peterson said something very profound. Well, he didn't say it. Someone said it. You know, and it was something along the lines of, people will forget what you did to them, but they will not forget how you made them feel. And that brings back the 200 drivers. Why were the drivers who were invited to the event happy and felt satisfied with the announcement, while the drivers who watched over the internet, why did they feel discouraged? Well, part of it could be that, yeah, the drivers at the event, they had free food. That could very well be it. But I think it's something else. I think it's because at the event, there was a Q&A with Dara K, and that was hosted by Harry Campbell. According to Harry, he did not leave right after the Q&A was over. He stayed and he chatted with people. He shook hands, he talked to them, he took selfies. Heck, the Q&A was only supposed to go 30 minutes and it went almost an hour. And when that kind of thing is shown, the drivers felt respected. They felt like they were being heard. They felt that they were part of something. I mean, were they getting the short end of the deal? A raw deal, the short end of the stick, as I should put it? Of course. Of course they are. A new app? That app doesn't even help them. I'm going to make a video later on the 5 features that the app could have included that actually would have benefited the drivers without raising pay. Because you can do that, believe it or not. But they felt welcome, and the CEO made them feel welcome. Just by inviting them to the event, they felt they were important. By having a Q&A and having their questions answered, They felt important. They felt like they were respected by the CEO hanging around after the Q&A and shaking hands, taking pictures, and telling them how much he appreciates them personally. A guy who made $200-something million to go to Uber. They felt respected and heard. Even though Uber didn't give them anything they are ultimately going to benefit from. Now, what about the people online? Well, you couldn't talk in the live chat. You couldn't leave comments. You could like or dislike the video, but because of everything being disabled, you will not know how many people have disliked that video. You just will not. And so what you have is a figurehead coming on stage. He has fancy graphics. He talks about how Fred is 82 years young, and he's saying, "We have not always listened to you." And the drivers wait. Uber hasn't been waiting for them, or they haven't been listening. What's he going to say? Because that's a great way to start. And he says, "We are going to be developing a new app." And the number one concern of the drivers, their wages, their ability to eat, to put food on the table, to work part-time with reasonable hours. It's not heard. The number one concern. Never discussed. And yet the CEO continues to say, "We've listened. We have listened. We have listened. We have listened. We care." And what is the result of all that listening? An app nobody wanted, and it doesn't even have the features, the non-monetary features, I should say, that drivers have been clamoring for years. As the rideshare professor said, and I know he's controversial, but he responded in his video that if the CEO of Uber claimed he was listening, he must be deaf, which I agree with. I believe Dara is either woefully ignorant or he can't say anything. Now, whatever one it is, that does not matter. It does not matter because when you go to the YouTube page, there you go. No comments, no live chat. You cannot see how many people liked or disliked the video. And here's the thing. This is an isolated incident. Drive Girl Drive on the podcast said that it's their whole channel that's like this. They just don't allow comments at all. And yet, I clicked on the video that they released right after this announcement. And as you can see, there's comments. There's one by Dark Road Run. And there's thumbs up, thumbs down. So apparently, leaving comments on their videos is something they're perfectly fine with. So long as it's not with an announcement that might make the drivers upset. They disabled the comments because they knew it was coming. It's the same reason why they didn't film the Q&A. The Q&A that went so wonderfully from Harry Campbell's perspective that the drivers really felt appreciated. Uber would not record that and would not show it because they were afraid of what would be asked. And drivers know that. They know that. And yet, when you do things like that, the drivers feel like you are hiding from them, that you are not willing to engage. Uber has never been willing to engage with the drivers unless it's absolutely necessary. We have gotten to the point where it is absolutely necessary to communicate with the drivers, to open a dialogue, to listen to them, and yet they aren't even doing that. They are coming halfway. They are saying, "We are listening. This is what we think we hear you want," even though it's not what people ask for, and they are very quick to point that out. But hey, they won't hear those objections because they have taken away the comments and the likes. And as such, the drivers feel disrespected and unloved and unimportant. And this is the foundation that Uber is building their company on. There's nothing wrong with this. You guys seriously think there is nothing wrong with this? This is inhuman. I mean, here's the thing. We throw around words like inhuman, like for, grand tragedies. But there is inhumanness on an individual level. One of the biggest forms of abuse, and I know this because unfortunately I lived through it, and I won't say who I lived through it with because That's not the point, and I've forgiven them for it. It should be noted. Just in case they're watching this, I totally forgiven them for this. And yet, it must be mentioned. One of the biggest forms of abuse is the silent treatment. The silent treatment. Oh my gosh. If you want to hurt someone that is so close to you, you give them the silent treatment. I mean, and you see, it doesn't take long for that to bother people. It doesn't take long for them to feel so unloved, so unimportant. Make them feel like they are never going to be important ever again in their life. And you know what? This person in my life did this a few times in my life. And again, I've forgiven them and I love them dearly. But it has left such an emotional scar on my heart that, you know, I am almost too eager to fix problems now, because I want as little time to go by with me mad at them as possible. And yet this is what Uber does on a continuous basis. They give them, the drivers, the silent treatment. And it gets maddening after a while. It gets maddening. You almost feel like you can't breathe. The silence is so loud. And it's, I mean, yeah, there's so many forms of abuse, but the silent treatment is the worst abuse. And Uber is giving it to their partners. Their partners. Can you imagine how inhumane that is? That is terrible. That is so terrible. And my heart breaks for these drivers. You should have seen some of the emails I got. Oh my gosh. Some of the things people have said. One person sent me an email and they said, you know, I wasn't expecting them to talk about the rates. I really wasn't. And yet, when they said we listened and they announced the app, I shut the live stream off in disgust, because if they were listening, they would know that I am having a hard time feeding my kids. My car's about to break down. And I don't know what to do. I desperately need the rates to go up. And yet Uber won't address that. They just say, hey, we want to keep you on the road longer and faster so that you will make more money. But they won't actually do what needs to be done to make me more money. And that's just one email. I got so many others. So many others. And I have to say, after watching Peterson's video, I cried a little. I'm not going to lie. I cried a little. Because I'm thinking about all the emails I'm getting from this. And how, yeah, the desperation, the hurt is real. It's so real that now when I look at the commenters, many of the commenters in the comment section, whether they be commenting in my videos and other people's videos, or even making their own videos who go like, what, you didn't really think they were going to raise the rates, did you? I mean, are you stupid? You are laughing at people's hurt of feeling rejected. And it is one of the most painful things in the world. Much like how the silent treatment creates such friction, makes people feel so unimportant and so unloved. So too is Uber's silence, and people are hurting as a result of it. They are. And I don't know how it can be fixed at this point. I don't think they can fix it. Because they have proven time and time again they are not willing to listen. And that's all people want. They want Uber to listen. They want Uber to do the very thing they claimed they were doing and just won't do it. So, I'm going to keep making videos, of course. And I am going to ravage this, you know, this sick presentation. Because that's what it is. It's sick at this point. The way they play with people's emotions like this is, again, it's inhumane. You know, and you know what? for the people who laugh at the drivers who, feel so rejected and so hurt, saying, "Oh, you didn't honestly think they were going to do this, did you?" You know what? Go to hell. Seriously. I don't think you have a soul at that point. It's like what Uber is doing is they are hurting people. They're hurting people with real feelings and real problems, and they are effectively saying, "You don't matter. We will say you matter, but you do not." And the drivers hear it. Oh boy. Do the drivers hear it loud and clear. And you know how I know that? Because since Uber won't listen to them, they come to people like me. And I hear it. And I wish there was something I could do for them. I really do. But there isn't. All I can do is make these videos, do my tweets, promote websites like paydriversfair.net. That's all I can do. That is all I can do at this point. And so, and because of this feeling, because of this realization, I think Dara K is officially worse than Travis Kalanick. We would have been better if Travis was still the company. We truly would. So, I mean, at least Travis didn't pretend we were important. He made it very clear we weren't. Dara, he's claiming we're important while turning his shoulder and giving us a shrug. That's where I'm going to leave it. What are your thoughts? Comment below. And hey, if you feel rejected, if you feel hurt by how Uber has handled this whole thing, please feel free to leave a comment. I cannot respond to every single one of them. I'm sorry. But know that I do read them. And I do care. And your concerns will most likely be addressed in future videos. I mean, I can't do anything to change it, but I will at least speak for you if I can. And yeah, just it's just a shame what's happening. It's a dang shame. Have a good one.